Welcome back. It's the Dan and Jer Mush Love from the Mushroom. I feel like that's kind of the way we've been forming, the way it's going. Couple things are starting to solidify. I feel like right now it's like everything Jer is kind of an umbrella, and then Dan and Jer is kind of like one of the offshoots of everything Jer. And Dan and Jer has kind of become Mush Love from the Mushroom because we tend to just talk about mushrooms a
Yeah.
lot. It might change though, who knows? So I had a great weekend. I hope you did too. It is June 21st, the solstice, which
Oh
I love
shit, yeah.
us astronomical events and stuff like that. Something actually, this is random before we start actually talking. The Hubble telescope went down last week, and I find that to be pretty devastating. It had like a computer malfunction.
Damn.
Computers from 1980s, so it's impressive that it even lasted that long. But a new telescope supposed to like change the game for NASA is supposed to be shot up this year, the James Webb Telescope, and it looks like that is taking a delay too. So right now there's like
They don't want to see the aliens yet.
yeah, exactly. It's like shit, man. I thought we were ready, but pretty cool. So what I wanted to talk to you about today though is something I think we've alluded to a little bit. I kind of feel like when I talk to you, not trying to put you on like spot, but like I feel like this podcast is a little therapeutic for me.
Awesome.
It's a way for me to like to reflect, to think about what I've been doing. I also feel like and I've thought this like from the first time I've met you actually is you're about 10 years younger than me, but there's a lot of things that you understand that I just don't get, and hearing you bring those up is useful for me to just like get another perspective. So
I appreciate
um
that. Hell yeah.
I enjoy this. I think it's really cool. I find like journaling to be pretty therapeutic. I find running to be therapeutic, but I also actually attend therapy.
hmm
Um, I'm in like my probably third stint of it. I've been doing it for this one's only been maybe like 5 months or so, but I feel like all of those are very beneficial just to have like an outside standpoint to kind of reflect on. What are your initial thoughts or on any of that or all of that? I gave you a lot.
No, I like all of that. I mean, first, the fact that I can contribute to that therapeutic process is definitely a humbling thing, and that's something I try to do, whether it's through my music or whether through conversations that I cultivate with people. So I'm glad that you feel that way. But when it comes to other
Definitely.
things, yeah, I think just how like a meditation can be like something that exists in a lot of different forms for people. I feel like therapy is also something that can be exist in a lot of forms other than just the traditional, go and sit down and do therapy. Like you said, running, physical activity, all these different flow states that allow you to kind of get
Mm,
broader perspectives of your mind when you're it's sort of like when you're not in your mind is when you get the real clarity of it. Sometimes you're running and you're on
definitely.
mile 10 and you're not even like conscious in your brain and you just kind of have these breakthroughs out of nowhere, and it's like when you get those moments away from your mind is where like the real clarity can come sometimes. It's like you're not in your own way. And when it comes to actual therapy, I definitely would be interested to hear more about your experience and shit. But I feel like that's something I personally, especially in the past, I had an ego around that I would like stigmatize therapy,
100%.
or like not even to other people, literally just with myself. Like I would talk to my friends and be like, "Oh, therapy, you should definitely do that," but I would be totally hypocritical and hold a double standard because then when I would definitely think about it, or maybe an ex-girlfriend or someone would say you need to see a
Mm,
therapist or whatever it might be, I would always be in denial about it. And I don't know why I have that stigma. I think that's something that a lot of like strong like male it's definitely something with the toxic masculinity in society too. I think that's like a lot of men are like, I don't need that, that's weak if I go to that, when in reality it's the opposite. I mean, you're strengthening yourself by like creating a stronger
boom.
foundation.
That's
So
exactly. I'm gonna cut you right there. Just because I don't want to forget this thought, but yeah, I think there's definitely a negative stigma to therapy, and I feel like when I tell people I'm going to therapy, like even if they don't say it, you can kind of tell that their reactions are like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Like, "Oh, like
mm.
it's like you're broken and you're trying to fix." And say, "Hey, I don't go to the gym and lift weights because I have a broken arm. I go to you go to the gym and lift weights to get stronger and better." And I feel like therapy should kind of be seen as the same. You don't necessarily granted, I did start going to therapy because I was broken, but you don't you really shouldn't just go to therapy just because you're broken. It should be like seen as something to improve yourself and to get better. It doesn't mean you're broken, but hey, maybe I can control my mind more. Maybe I can be um yeah, I can just like understand these things a bit more. So, I agree with you on everything you said. I guess, do you think it's culture that made ego get in the way, or what do you think it is?
Um, Culture, I think it depends on like your upbringing and stuff. Like I grew up with my dad was very like mind over matter, very like, oh, you can
Mm,
anything that comes your way, you can kind of conquer yourself and stuff. Which, not to be fair, he's went to therapy at various points throughout his life, and it's not something that he's like specifically demonized. But I think it's just sort of that like antiquated male mentality of like, oh, you stub your toe and you walk it off type of, or whatever, and like that
yeah.
from the mental standpoint. But it is interesting because I do think like me in particular, or like people like us who are very open and don't have problems sharing and stuff. I know there's also people who have really bad social anxiety and like they get to the therapist and they don't even know what to say and they freeze out. Like
Mm,
I feel like I would be the fucking best candidate ever for therapy. I think that if I had a therapist, they'd be like, "You're doing all the work." I mean that's what therapy is. You kind of they bring you to a place where you do all the work. And
yeah.
to kind of contradict myself, and maybe this is just me so rooted in my ego, I do think that everyone should be able to be their own therapist to a degree. I mean,
Mm,
obviously, no one can ever be truly objective with themselves. Like, it's just not possible. That's not like it's a contradiction. But I do think
right.
that people should have some capacity of identifying problems, being able to be like, oh, why are those emotions arising? What is that coming from? And obviously, if you have no clue, then that's where that's their job to help you make those realizations. I think for me personally, like working out and microdosing and a couple of other things, meditation have been something that have given me like really profound realizations about some errors in my life or some areas where I need improvement. And I really have been like my own therapist for a while now. And it's interesting though
Mm,
because like in my friend group especially, like you said, for being somewhat younger, I feel like I have a lot of insights that some kids my age might not have. So I'm sort of like the
hmm.
therapist for all of my friends when they go through a breakup and they want insights and everything. Like I'm normally there for them. But this is why therapy is valuable is sometimes when I really need someone truly objective to just rant about my things, I feel like everyone in my life is someone who's too close to me where it's like I don't even want to talk about them. Or I'm like I said, I'm always the positive friend. I'm always this light in people's lives. So it's like sometimes I have too much pride to allow people to be like, yo, like I'm struggling right now. And or sometimes it's like out of just necessity. It's like other people need me and I kind of put myself on the back burner, which I've realized over time is like why sometimes I feel so spread thin or I harbor resentment and these things. So I do think I've definitely more recently been thinking about therapy, just of like childhood traumas and just processing things that sit way back in the back of my mind that I try not to
Yeah.
access. Like I think it would be good to get some clarity. So yeah, I definitely try not to demonize it anymore.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I feel like something you just mentioned reminded me a little bit of like one of the good things about a therapist is kind of it's someone you don't really know too well, so you're a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more open to just sharing some things with them. I feel like when we first met, probably we'd only chilled maybe twice. I think you reached out to me once and had like a full on hour of just letting things out, telling me all about whatever. It's super
Right.
interesting, but I can't help but feel like you probably had a little bit of an easier time sharing that with me because I didn't even really know you too well, and I was just like listening. Where sharing that with a friend, it's hard because you think they're gonna judge you or whatever it might be. Um, and what's it called? I feel like something else. I don't know what reminded me or related to me though is a therapist isn't necessarily going to always be good either. I don't want people
Mm.
to think like, oh, you just get therapy and you're good. It's a relationship just like any other relationship. If you have a girlfriend, generally speaking, I think like having a romantic partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it might be, is good. But it doesn't mean if you get in a relationship, it's good. Like there's some
Mm.
relationships that the significant other might kill you, like literally, or make you go nuts or whatever. So like just because the concept is good doesn't mean it's always gonna be good. Um, I've seen this is my third therapist that I've seen. My first one I liked a lot. And then like she kind of had to move, and I felt like she was leaving me like a relationship,
Mm.
and was like, damn, that sucks. And then I found another one, and actually kind of liked him, but um, never really meshed too much, like whatever. And then this recent one, I feel like I'm actually enjoying a lot, and we we get along well, and it works. I don't know exactly where I was going, but basically like it all matters. And I guess if you have one experience and you didn't really like it, to not like just give up, and to like continue with it. Um Damn, I had some other questions for you to put back on you, because now I'm talking and I'm like, shit, I don't know. What do you think, Danny?
Um, I think that's actually one of my fears around therapy is
Mm,
feeling like opening up to a therapist and it not being the one, which is also it's like that's just some control freak shit. It's like you got to put yourself out there to know. It's like any relationship, like you're saying, it's like any romantic relation, anything. You got to put yourself out before you know. But I think that's my fear sometimes, is that like I'd be super open and then it's someone who I don't jive with, or they're not receptive, or maybe they're receptive but it's just like we don't mesh. And I have like trauma around that of like not being heard. So I feel like if I had a therapist and then I felt like it wasn't getting anywhere, that I would actually feel worse than actually better. And so I think that's one of my fears around it, because I'm like, all right, well, if I open up and it's just like some shitty therapist just like trying to get their $100 an hour and write some
yeah,
shitty note, because that's where I said it was like I'm really good at figuring shit out on my own, and it's like
yeah,
so sometimes I guess I have like too much pride to surrender that to other people, but at the same time it's like I also know that if I got a great therapist that I did get along with, that I would probably like each hour session have years worth of breakthroughs that have been overdue. So it's like
yeah,
it's definitely a double-edged sword, and I do think that a lot of people have had really bad experiences with therapists. And there's also like I've heard of like, you know, people have, like you said with the first one, sometimes like there's parasocial kind of relationships form where it's like, you
yeah,
know, that there's a that you're the therapist, and or they're the therapist and you're the patient, but sometimes you can't help but be like, oh wow, this is making me emotionally feel like resolved.
yeah,
So then you kind of associate that with that person and things like that. So
yeah,
there's a lot of weird things that you pitfalls that you can go down. So I think that's why you got to be mindful of the right therapist. And what I've heard is I watched this one podcast of a therapist, and he says it's always like important to be super transparent with your therapist, to be like, yeah, I don't think we're getting any, like to say the things that would be hard to say, like I don't think this is working, I don't think you're doing a good job, I don't enjoy this
yeah.
process. So that's obviously hard for
It's
a lot of people, but I would love that if a therapist was doing a shitty job, I'd be the first to say, yo, like what are you doing?
Yeah. So this gives me a couple of things. I feel like we're about ending the show. This will be my last thoughts. Hopefully, someone enjoys these and comments on them. Maybe we talk about them next time. But one thing is basically one therapist, the my second therapist that I kind of like. He, basically, what happened was he looked at me like I was crazy after I said something, and
Mm,
um, and that did it for me. I literally never went. Right when I saw his facial reaction, I was like, I lost all trust of this guy. I
mm,
don't want to hear what he has to think about it. And it sucked. And I guess alluding to what you're saying is like, you really have to trust this person and share what you want, because otherwise it's like it's not going to go so well. And then similarly, this is pretty funny. I see my therapist actually tomorrow. I see her 6:30 in the morning, which is like my favorite. With COVID, everyone went online now.
mm,
So you can have like therapy at 6 in the morning, which was never available for me before. So I kind of love that. Great way to start the day.
mm,
But I and hopefully I don't think my dad really listens to my podcast, especially maybe this one. He might listen to like some business ones, but I don't think he enjoys hearing about this stuff too much. But I got drunk this weekend, which was pretty interesting.
mm.
It was completely by choice. I don't think I was like relapsing or anything. But I'm like a little nervous to tell my therapist. I don't know why, but it's just interesting because it's like it's best though when you share everything. You got to be completely open. I'm gonna share it with her, but basically what you were kind of saying of like being able to share everything with them is a big part of it, and having that trust is important. And maybe that's a big reason why males kind of don't really go towards it, is because I don't think males are really too trusting, for with good reason too.
Right. I think also too that it's the things that you like least want to talk about is also where the most healing normally is. It's like
Mm,
fuck, like I feel whether it's guilt or whatever, because I know you've been on a decent recovery process and stuff. So in your head, it might feel like oh, like even if it was something you chose to do and made a conscious choice, it can be like oh, am I going backwards? Is it like there's those own
mm.
things. So it's like of course that's gonna be scary to share with the therapist. But I think I think that's definitely interesting. How was it, if you don't mind me asking? Was it was a good time?
Dude, I had a blast.
Nice. Yeah.
I kind of to be honest, and like I really struggle to understand. I think I understand a lot of people's like perspective and how they think and stuff, but I don't. Think how I think, and it's hard for me to understand how other people think. So with alcohol, with being removed from it for so long, like I honestly struggled to understand why people drink so much. I
Right.
forgot why I enjoyed it even so much when I did it, and like doing it, 100% realized like I don't think alcohol is good by any means, but I 100% understand like not the need for it, but sometimes like I struggle to turn off. I'm thinking nonstop. It's exhausting.
It does do its
Um,
job to get you out of yeah, to numb
yeah,
shit a little bit, yeah.
and Saturday I wasn't thinking for a few hours, and it was great. It was like my
Yeah.
mind was blank, and I was just chilling, feeling good. And you're like watching sports. I don't even really enjoy sports too much, but I was just like lounging. I
You
don't
need
know.
those dedicated times for escapism. I tell my friends that a lot because it's like, especially when you're super conscious, I feel like we're like, when you try to always be doing something productive and always be moving forward, it's like you need those times to just sit and have nothing on the agenda and to really just like the relaxation is the active thing. So I'm
Exactly.
glad you got to have that experience, my guy. I'm glad, and
I
hopefully your
appreciate it.
therapist doesn't ream you too bad for
Yeah,
sharing.
exactly. But what you just said is like dedicated rest. I believe there's a term, the Wu Wei, WUWEI, is basically like dedicated rest, like doing
Mm,
nothing, but intentionally doing nothing,
right.
which I'm all a fan of. I enjoyed that conversation. Thanks for the therapy session, Dan. How much do I owe you? Just bill me, whatever.
Your invoice will be in the mail. Don't worry.
All right, that's the worst part of therapy. But thanks as always. Please like, subscribe. We're on Spotify and Apple Tunes now, so you don't need to watch us.
Mm.
And even though you might want to see us, our pretty faces, but you can listen to us in the car now, so that's pretty cool. Please like, subscribe on all of those mediums, comment, and then I have. This is a surprise for Danny now too. I got like 2 guests coming up in the next month or so. If you want to be a guest, please come. I'll give you a hint actually right now, Danny. One of the guests is a cousin that I've never met before, which is gonna
One of
be
your
awesome.
cousins?
One of my cousins who I've never
Wow.
met, and he's French. He speaks English. We'll see how much of a translation problem there is, but yeah, he's like, I'll be on your podcast. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it, dude.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, it should be cool. But thanks for everything. Please like, subscribe, hit us up, comment, let us know what you want to hear about. Danny, any closing remarks?
Much love. That's all I got to say. Keep it going. Keep healing,
Much
everybody.
love. Peace out, brother.
Peace, peace.